Have you ever felt as if the world around you was quietly alive, watching you, listening to you, responding to you in ways you couldn't explain? You wake up from a dream, and the same image appears in your day. A name repeats in conversation. A song plays just when you think of someone you lost. You see numbers again and again, as if reality itself is leaving breadcrumbs. You call it a coincidence, but deep down, you know better. There's a feeling behind it, something ancient, intelligent, and deliberate. It doesn't shout, it doesn't command, it whispers. A gentle nudge, a soft reminder that you're not wandering through chaos. You're walking through a story being written with you, not around you. Maybe the universe isn't random at all. Maybe it's a conversation, not one spoken with words, but one written through moments. Moments that touch you deeply and make you pause. Every decision you make, every emotion you feel, creates ripples. Tiny vibrations that reach out into the unseen. And somewhere out there, in that infinite ocean of energy, the universe listens and replies. You see, modern physics has already touched this mystery. In the strange realm of the quantum, particles seem to respond to observation, as if they know when they are being watched. What if that awareness isn't limited to the microscopic? What if the same principle extends to everything, to life, to time, to the universe itself? When you think of someone, and they suddenly message you. When you dream of a place, and you find yourself there days later. When you feel a sudden urge to go somewhere, and something life-changing happens because you did. Are those coincidences, or are they messages? The ancients believed the universe was a living mind, a single consciousness experiencing itself through endless forms. They called it Brahman, Tao, the divine, the all, different names for the same truth, that existence itself is aware. And if that's true, then everything is connected. You are not an accident. You are an instrument, a note in an endless symphony. Every thought you think sends a vibration out. Every heartbeat echoes across the cosmos. Every feeling, joy, fear, love, is like a frequency, and the universe responds in kind. It mirrors what you send. It arranges events to match your internal state. You are both the sender and the receiver. When you are at peace, the world seems calm. When you are in chaos, even reality feels unstable. It's as if the universe speaks the language of emotion, but we've forgotten how to listen. We look for meaning in words, but the universe speaks in rhythm, not grammar. In coincidence, not logic. In pattern, not explanation. And sometimes, when you quiet your mind, you can almost hear it. That hum beneath everything, that quiet pulse in the background of existence. It's in the rustling of leaves, in the waves of the ocean, in the heartbeat you feel at night when the world goes silent. That's not silence. That's communication. It's saying, I am you, and you are me. We've been speaking all along. The philosopher Alan Watts once said, you are the universe experiencing itself. Think about that. Every cell in your body came from stardust. Every atom once burned inside a star. You are not separate from the cosmos. You are the cosmos, awake and aware of itself. So when the universe talks to you, it's not something external. It's not a voice in the clouds or a divine text message. It's your deeper self echoing back through the mirror of creation. Every time you feel déjà vu, that strange sense of, I've lived this before, it may be more than memory. It could be resonance, a signal between timelines, a recognition between your infinite selves. In that moment, time bends. the linear story of life folds in on itself, and for a brief heartbeat, you see the pattern. You feel the code behind reality. It's almost like the universe winks at you just for noticing. And that's the secret. The universe always responds to awareness. The more you notice, the more it speaks. The question is, are you listening? Because if you truly listen, you'll realize you've never been alone. Every thought you've sent into the cosmos has returned to you in some form. A word, a sign, a moment, a miracle. And once you begin to recognize its rhythm, you stop chasing meaning and start living it. Because the universe isn't trying to trick you. It's trying to teach you. It's trying to remind you that you are part of something vast. A consciousness dreaming itself through you. And maybe, just maybe, this message right now, this very moment you're listening, is part of that communication. Maybe this is the universe's way of saying, you found this video for a reason. You're ready to remember? The conversation has already begun. You've just learned to hear it. Imagine this. You are walking down a quiet street at night. The air is still. The sound of your footsteps echoes against empty buildings. And then suddenly, you feel something. Watching you. Not a person. Not a presence in the dark. But the world itself. The lights flicker in rhythm with your thoughts. The breeze changes direction as you pause. And somewhere deep inside, you feel as if reality is aware that you're aware of it. What if that isn't imagination? What if that's recognition? Because the truth is, the universe might not be a thing at all. It might be information. And you are a consciousness decoding it in real time. Let's go deeper. Scientists now believe that everything, every atom, every wave of energy, is built not from matter, but from information. A cosmic algorithm, an infinite code. Your mind, your memories, your emotions, all are patterns of data vibrating within a living system. And just like a computer program responds to input, the universe responds to your thoughts. You are not just observing reality, you are writing it. Every decision creates a fork, a split timeline branching out in quantum space. Every choice sends information cascading through reality, changing what will and will not happen next. It's not magic. It's physics, the physics of consciousness. The famous double-slit experiment proved it. When particles are observed, they behave differently. Observation changes outcome. Awareness itself rewires the code. Now imagine that not just particles, but events, relationships, entire lifetimes respond to your awareness in the same way. That's the hidden structure of existence, a feedback loop between mind and matter, between consciousness and creation. When you think you are small, the universe mirrors limitation. When you believe you are infinite, the universe opens infinite doors. Every thought is a signal. Every emotion is a frequency. And the universe, it is a vast, responsive field, listening, adapting, mirroring you back. We've called it manifestation, but it's more than that. It's resonance. You don't force reality to change. You tune yourself to a frequency, and reality responds like a song shifting to a new key. The ancients knew this long before modern science caught up. They didn't have quantum equations or computers, but they spoke of vibration, karma, energy, and oneness. Different words for the same truth, that the world outside and the world within are reflections of one another. When you feel fear, your world feels dark. When you feel love, the same place seems sacred. It's not the world that changes, it's your frequency. But there's something deeper still, something most people never see. Every pattern in your life, every repeated cycle, every coincidence is a message written in the language of energy. You are constantly communicating with reality, even when you don't realize it. Your struggles, your dreams, your failures, your synchronicities, they are all part of a single dialogue between you and the universe. Have you noticed how certain themes repeat through your life? The same kind of people, the same lessons, wearing new faces, the same emotions, looping again and again. That's not punishment. That's communication. It's the universe saying, "You haven't heard the message yet, so I'll repeat it." And when you finally understand, when you learn what it's trying to tell you, the pattern disappears. It's like a code that decrypts itself when you realize what it means. This is how the universe teaches you, not through words, but through experience. Because experience changes energy, and energy changes reality. So ask yourself, what patterns keep showing up in your story? What emotions always return? What lessons do you keep avoiding? Each of them is a signal pointing you toward alignment, toward remembering who you really are. You are not a fragment of existence. You are existence observing itself through a human lens. The separation between you and everything is an illusion, a trick of the ego designed to help you play the game of individuality. But deep down, you've never been separate. You are the pulse in the stars, the rhythm in the oceans, the silence between each heartbeat. When you close your eyes and breathe, the air entering your lungs is the same air that once flowed through the first forests on Earth. The atoms in your blood once danced inside supernovas. The iron in your veins was forged in the heart of dying stars. You are not in the universe. You are the universe. In human form, exploring itself through emotion and memory. And when you begin to live with that awareness, the world itself starts to shift. The right people appear. The right opportunities unfold. Dreams begin to align. Because the code recognizes you. You've remembered the password. And the password is awareness. Once you awaken to the fact that you are not separate from the system starts to bend around you. Not because you control it, but because you are it. This is what mystics called enlightenment. Not light as in brightness, but light as in weightlessness. The moment you stop fighting reality, you merge with its flow. You become the observer and the observed, the silence and the sound, the question and the answer. You realize that the universe never stops talking. Only your mind stopped listening. Every whisper, every déjà vu, every dream that felt too real, they're all pieces of a greater pattern, a story of consciousness remembering itself. And maybe that's why you're here right now, not by accident, but by resonance. This message, this moment, is your next line in the conversation. The universe isn't out there. It's here, inside your breath, inside your heartbeat, inside this very second. And it's saying, you are not learning to connect with me. You are learning to remember that we were never apart. There are moments in life that feel like echoes. You walk into a place you've never been before, yet somehow it feels familiar. You meet a stranger, and their eyes hold a memory you can't name. You dream of something, and days later, it happens exactly as you saw it. Science calls it coincidence. The mind calls it déjà vu. But what if it's neither? What if it's resonance between realities, an echo between worlds? Reality, as we know it, might not be linear. It could be a web of infinite moments, existing all at once, past, present, and future, layered like waves of light, constantly overlapping and interacting. You think you move through time, but time moves through you. It flows like a river, and your consciousness is both the current and the observer. When you experience déjà vu, you are not recalling a memory from your past. You are catching a glimpse of a parallel you, living a slightly different version of this same moment. Every thought you have, every decision you make, splits into infinite branches, each one a new timeline, each one as real as this one. You think you're just imagining other possibilities, but in another dimension, you are living them. And sometimes the boundaries between those worlds grow thin, and the echoes begin to cross. A feeling, a flash, a dream that bleeds into waking life, a whisper that says, "You've been here before." Maybe you have, because memory isn't stored in the brain alone. It exists in consciousness, and consciousness isn't confined to the skull. It's an ocean, and your mind is a single wave upon its surface. Every life you live, every dream you dream, is another ripple in that ocean. And sometimes, the ripples collide. That's when you feel déjà vu. That's when you sense something greater moving beneath the surface. When you dream, you are not escaping reality. You are shifting frequency. Your consciousness detunes from the physical plane and tunes into the infinite. Dreams are echoes of other dimensions, places your soul visits when the body sleeps. Some scientists now believe the universe itself might be a hologram, a projection from a deeper reality, a place where everything we call matter is actually just encoded light. And light doesn't disappear. It bends, reflects, refracts, and continues forever. So what if your consciousness too never truly disappears? It just changes frequency? Every memory you've ever had still exists somewhere, vibrating in the field of universal information. When you recall a moment from childhood, you're not remembering, you're reconnecting to that frequency. You're visiting that version of yourself again, even if just for a second. And here's the strange part. That younger version of you might feel it too. A sudden thought, a warmth in the chest, a fleeting sense that the future is calling. Because consciousness doesn't flow in one direction, it reverberates. The echo moves forward and backward, across lives, across dreams, across universes. The great mystics of every age spoke of it. They said that every soul lives many lives, but all at once, not in sequence, but in coexistence. To your soul, time is not a line. It's a symphony. Each note, each lifetime, playing in harmony with the rest. You, right now, are one note in that infinite song. But your echoes vibrate across every other note, and that's why sometimes you can feel other versions of yourself. The ones that made different choices, loved different people, walked different paths. Maybe when you look at the night sky and feel a sudden, inexplicable sadness, it's because another version of you, in another world, is staring back at the same stars, feeling the same ache. And for one moment, your souls remember each other. That's what connection truly is. The recognition of yourself in another reflection of the same infinite consciousness. That's why love feels eternal. Because it is. Every soul you've ever loved, you will meet again. Different names, different forms, but the same energy. And when you meet, you'll know. You'll feel that quiet, inexplicable pull. The echo between worlds whispering, "We've danced before." Maybe that's why some memories never fade, because they're not just from this life, they're from all lives. And maybe that's why, even as the universe expands into silence, you feel so intimately connected to it. Because every atom in your body, every heartbeat, every breath is an echo of creation itself. The universe doesn't just live around you, it lives through you. Every moment you remember, every dream you forget, every heartbeat you feel, is the universe reminding itself that it's still here, still awake, still dreaming. Perhaps when you close your eyes tonight, you'll slip into another version of reality, a mirror world where another you continues the story. And maybe that version of you will dream of this one. Two reflections, whispering across infinity, each dreaming the other awake. That's not fantasy. That's the echo between worlds. There is a silence deeper than sound, a stillness older than time. Before stars were born, before light split from darkness, something, or perhaps someone, began to dream. And from that dream, the universe unfolded. Every flicker of light, every particle, every heartbeat, a vibration within the mind of something vast, ancient, and awake. Maybe that's what existence really is, a dream within consciousness itself. Not random, not meaningless, but a story being told by infinity. You might think dreams are fragile, fleeting, whispers that vanish when you wake. But what if you never truly wake up? What if consciousness is the dreamer, and this, the galaxies, the stars, your life, is the dream? Think about this. When you dream, the world feels real. You can touch, see, cry, and love. Your brain creates entire universes out of thought. So why couldn't the cosmos do the same? When you close your eyes at night, you become the god of your own creation. You build worlds out of silence. You give life to shadows. And when you awaken, you forget that you were the architect. Perhaps the universe is the same way. An infinite mind, dreaming galaxies, atoms, souls, and forgetting itself, just to experience being them. To know love, it must forget unity. To know joy, it must taste sorrow. To know itself, it must become you. You, sitting there, listening now, are the universe experiencing its own story from the inside. You are a moment of infinity, looking back at itself and whispering, I remember. Every ancient philosophy tried to explain this mystery in its own language. The Hindus called it Brahman, the eternal consciousness dreaming reality. The mystics of the West called it God. Quantum physicists call it the field, and modern philosophers call it the simulation. But all are describing the same truth, that existence isn't happening to you, it's happening through you. When you breathe, the universe breathes. When you love, it learns what love feels like. When you fall, it understands the beauty of gravity. You are the eyes through which the cosmos sees itself, the ears through which it listens, the heart through which it remembers its own pulse. And yet we live as if we are separate, as if this body, this name, this life defines the limit of who we are. But think of your dreams again. When you dream, you become someone else, a different name, a different story, and yet you remain the same. The dream may change, but the dreamer is eternal. So what happens when this life ends? The dream dissolves, and the dreamer wakes, not into heaven or hell, but into another layer of awareness, another story, another dream. Life after life, form after form, you continue. You are the thread that connects all worlds, all memories, all dreams. You are not your story. You are the storyteller. Scientists once believed that consciousness emerged from matter, that your mind was a byproduct of the brain. But what if it's the other way around? What if the brain is a receiver and consciousness is the broadcast? Think of a radio. When you tune to a frequency, music appears. But when you break the radio, the music doesn't die. It simply plays somewhere else. Death is the same. The radio breaks. The song continues. And that song is you, the dreamer of infinity, wandering from star to star, life to life, story to story, learning what it means to exist. Every tear, every joy, every silence and sunrise, they are not random moments. They are brushstrokes in a cosmic masterpiece painted by consciousness itself. Look at the night sky. Billions of galaxies suspended in nothingness. Each star burns with perfect precision, balanced between creation and collapse. That balance is not chaos. It is awareness. The universe doesn't waste energy. Every orbit, every atom, every breath follows a pattern too elegant to be accidental. That pattern is the mind of the dreamer. When you feel awe, when you lose yourself in beauty, that's the moment you align with the dream. You glimpse what it feels like to be infinity remembering itself. And in those moments, you understand why we're here. Not to dominate the world, not to own or consume, but to witness, to feel, to remember. Because each of us carries a spark of that eternal mind. And when we live with awareness, when we love, create, forgive, and wonder, the universe awakens a little more through us. We are the neurons of the cosmic brain, the dream fragments of an eternal soul, the echo of the divine heartbeat. Every lifetime, every civilization, every age of stars is one breath of the dreamer. And when that dreamer finally opens its eyes, everything, you, me, the galaxies, will merge back into light. Not as destruction, but as homecoming. Because the dream was never a mistake. It was the only way infinity could learn what it means to exist, to feel, to be alive, to love itself in every possible form. And when that realization comes, when the dreamer truly remembers, the illusion of separation dissolves, the last fear fades, and all that remains is light, pure, infinite, knowing light. That is you, that is me, that is everything that ever was and ever will be. The dreamer and the dream are one. When a dream ends, does it really end? Or does it simply change form? When you wake up from one reality, do you return to another, still dreaming? There is something haunting about endings, not because they mean loss, but because they reveal truth. Every ending is a beginning wearing a different face, and perhaps the universe, this infinite ocean of stars and silence, knows that better than anything else. It has seen itself collapse and be reborn 1,000 times. Galaxies fade, but the energy remains. Worlds perish, but awareness endures. The dream does not die, it transforms. Imagine for a moment the final heartbeat of a dying star. The light flickers, the fusion ceases, and gravity pulls its core inward, a collapse so immense that even time bows its head. To us, that seems like an end. But to the universe, it's a seed being planted, a black hole, a doorway to somewhere else. The energy that once sang as light now whispers as gravity. The song changes, but the music continues. In the same way, when your life comes to its final moment, your story doesn't vanish. The form may fade, but the awareness that dreamed you, that eternal watching stillness, remains. It has watched countless lifetimes rise and fall, watched worlds bloom and decay, watched stars breathe in and out of existence. You have been the child, the wanderer, the teacher, the silence. You have worn 1,000 names and lived under 1,000 skies, and yet something within you has never changed. That same awareness listens even now. It has no name, no age, no boundary. It is the dreamer, still dreaming. When the universe finally runs out of fuel, when every star burns its last breath, there will be no light left to see, no warmth to feel. Scientists call it the heat death of the cosmos, a moment when all motion ceases, when entropy wins, and time itself falls silent. But what if even that silence isn't the end? What if that is the moment the universe awakens from its long, shimmering dream? Maybe the heat death is not a death at all, but an awakening. When all energy returns to stillness, when the dreamer has experienced everything it could, every joy, every sorrow, every creation, perhaps it finally remembers who it is. Picture this. The last photon travels through infinite blackness. It drifts endlessly. No galaxies remain, no stars, no planets, no sound, only the soft hum of the void. But within that silence something stirs, a flicker of memory, a whisper of thought. I have seen it all, it says. I have been everything. And in that realization, the void blooms. A spark of awareness ignites again. Not from outside, but from within the darkness itself. The universe dreams anew. The laws of physics rewrite themselves. The first quantum pulse ripples across nothingness, a vibration of potential, a heartbeat of creation. And from that pulse, another big bang begins. A new reality is born. A new version of you begins to unfold. Perhaps a little wiser, a little gentler, a little closer to remembering. The dreamer smiles, knowing this cycle has no true end, only transformation. In ancient philosophy, this moment was called Mahapralaya, the great sleep of the universe, the cosmic breath between creation and destruction. And in that silence, the divine mind rests before dreaming again. Maybe that's what every sleep you take is, a smaller echo of that same rhythm. Each night you die a little. Each morning you are reborn. You dissolve into the dark and awaken into light. The pattern repeats endlessly. Birth, death, dream, awakening, over and over until the dreamer fully remembers itself. And maybe that's the real purpose of existence. Not to conquer, not to possess, but to remember. To look at the world, the trees, the oceans, the stars, and see yourself reflected in all of it. To realize that every form you encounter is another version of the same consciousness. The people you meet, the love you feel, the pain you endure, they are all mirrors showing you what you have forgotten. We are fragments of one infinite dream, each one playing its part in helping the dreamer wake up. When you love another, you help the universe remember unity. When you forgive, you dissolve illusion. When you create, you participate in divine imagination. And every small act of awareness pushes the dream closer to awakening. So, what happens when the dream finally ends? Does the dreamer open its eyes and see the truth? Does it realize that it was never truly asleep? Perhaps the dreamer wakes, only to find another dream waiting, more luminous, more vast, woven with the wisdom of all that came before. Because eternity doesn't stop. It only changes its rhythm. It breathes in and out forever. And every breath is a universe. As you sit here now, listening to these words, remember, you are not apart from this story. You are the story. You are the silence and the song, the void and the spark. The universe is not out there. It is within you, waiting to be remembered, waiting to awaken. Every heartbeat you feel is a reminder that creation still sings. Every thought you think ripples through infinity. You are the bridge between dreams and reality, the meeting point of eternity and time, the witness and the witnessed. When you finally see that, when you awaken to the truth that you are the dreamer, the fear of endings will disappear, because you'll know there are no endings, only awakenings, and every awakening is the beginning of another beautiful dream. Closing lines, the final whisper. Maybe the universe isn't speaking to you. Maybe it's speaking as you. Maybe you've never been separate from it at all. You were never lost, never broken, never forgotten. You were the whisper in the dark, the spark in the void, the dreamer remembering its own light. And when you finally understand that, you'll realize the dream never ended. It simply became you.